Hi lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Curtsies and Conspiracies by Gail Carriger. This is the second book in the Finishing School series. The first book is Etiquette and Espionage. I'll post the link to my review for the first book in the description below if you want to check that out. This is a young adult steampunk series that happens in a finishing school for young ladies who wish to learn how to become spies and assassins. The second book starts off with the girls taking their 6-month evaluation test, which is designed not only to test how much they've learned about being ladies, the finishing school part, but also how much they've learned about the spying aspect. So one of the tasks, for instance, is serving a cup of tea. So it grades them on not only how well they served the tea, but also whether or not they should have served the tea because it was cold, and because one of the cups smelled kind of funny, it might be poisoned. That kind of stuff's going on here. I loved all the different ways that the espionage gets layered amongst all the proper Victorian behaviors and manners. It's just really charming aspect of this whole series, and I am loving it. So Sophronia comes out of this test with the highest marks the school has ever given, which I'm sure is like a huge surprise, right? And because of this, she ends up being ostracized by the rest of her classmates, which includes her best friend Dimity. Sophronia spends a good deal of this book with Soap and Vive down in the boiler room. At the same time, it looks like somebody's trying to kidnap Dimity and her brother Pillover, and Sophronia has to decide whether or not she should help Dimity when Dimity doesn't want anything to do with her. So that's a really fun aspect of this book. Not that I am pleased that Dimity's getting kidnapped, but I mean, it's an espionage school. Come on, weird stuff's gonna happen. School is this dirigible and it floats, and right now it is flying to London. And none of the girls are told why, so Sophronia goes on some information recovery missions to figure out what's happening. And at the same time, there is a group of boys from the Bunsen school for evil geniuses that are on board. Most notably, Dimity's brother Pillover and the Lord Felix Mercy, who is very smitten with Sophronia, even though Sophronia is kind of not interested in boys right now. She would really rather that they all left her alone and let her go about her spyingness. She doesn't have any interest in the flirting that the rest of her class does. Proper introduction of Lord Felix Mercy, as technically we meet him in book 1 as he's one of the gentlemen crashing Sophronia's sister's coming out ball. But the boys from Bunsen are aligned with the Picklemen, especially Felix, whose father is a very prominent Pickleman. And so Sophronia and the rest of the girls from the academy kind of are aligned with these supernatural creatures. They have 2 teachers that are supernatural, like a werewolf and a vampire. So that sets them at odds from the boys at the school. So it's not all, lovely, deadly stuff going on here. We also have Monique returning with all her chaos. First of all, Sophronia is trying to figure out why Monique is allowed to just run the corridors of the school at night on her own and doesn't get into trouble. And also, there's a big deal about Monique having her coming out ball when they get to London. And of course, Monique makes a very big deal out of this and about who she's inviting and who she's not inviting, and telling everybody about the plans for it. Huge part of this book is just Monique's ego at this ball. And then another plot of this book is Vive, who is the young girl who's very mechanically minded, and she wants to go to Bunsen's, which is a school for evil geniuses, and the boys get to do a lot of tinkering and building things. That's what Vive really wants to do, except she's a girl, and Bunsen's is an all-boys school. But luckily, there are only 2 people who know that Vive is actually a girl, at the school anyway, and they are the one teacher, Professor Shrimpdiddle, who came with the boys, and then Dimity's brother, Pillover. And Pillover is completely I don't care, that's fine, whatever. And so they really need to get Professor Shrimpdiddle out of the picture, and so Sophronia attempts her first character assassination in this book, um, which is really awesome. I seriously love this book. Hopefully, I didn't spoil too much of it, but I really love all the quirky, crazy things that happen in this series. There are so many plot lines going on, and I'm like reading this book wondering how they're all going to interlink. Um, what's the big showdown going to be? Also, why are they even going to London was a huge part of this book. There's also a big part of this is the two sides between those who are aligned with the supernatural creatures and the picklemen who don't trust them at all. And so the world building in this is excellent. Like we get to see a lot more of this world. I really liked this second book. It is so funny and charming, and I love Sophronia as a character. We're starting to see the makings of a love triangle here between Soap and Felix and Sophronia, which is adorable. And of course, Monique causing all her problems in the ways that only Monique can. So definitely, like, I really, really love this book, guys. I'm already most of the way through the third book. Like, I cannot stop reading these. They are so amazing. So definitely read them if you haven't already. I feel like that's kind of silly at book 2. Like, either you've read them or you haven't read them. But, oh my goodness. The whole thing with, I love the supernatural in this book, like the vampires and the werewolves and how their society works them into it. Like, the vampires can have titles, and Sighed, one of her friends, Sighed, I think, is a child of a werewolf clan, and I love the way that that's interwoven in the story and the political complications that brings. But also, there are tons and tons of pretty dresses and balls and getting to learn the proper way to be a lady. It's just a fantastic series. Gail Carriger's writing is really funny. It's just perfect. I love it so much. So much. So, I think that's everything I have to say in this book. Basically, go read it. Go read it. Yeah. Peace out. I love you guys, and keep